You want to place columns 1, 3, and 5 into a new list. Golfer in rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, and you hit F9. You get all the numbers changing, but there's no output. You're scratching your head. What did I do wrong? Or what did I do wrong? I'm using the choose column function along with sequence, round, and columns in order to do this. I think it works, but no output. Let me explain step by step the forced procedures we have to incorporate in order to use Excel's newer tools. Stay tuned. Brad Williams, Excel primed. Place columns 1, 3, and 5 into a new list. We're going to use the sequence function and the roundup. This is not a tutorial on how to work with sequence or round. I went over that comprehensively in my other tutorials. If you need to familiarize yourself with the workings there, then do so. You can sign up for one of those two programs. The write-up here will give you a pretty good overview, but I'm not going to break down as I have in the other tutorials. In the formula tutorials, I break this stuff down to the nth degree. Here, I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to get through these as quick as possible. Here, we're going to use choose columns. The sequence, well, we're going to have 1 through 14. Then we're going to round up, and we're going to use columns. Why are we going to use roundup? Let's take a look over here. Choose calls can be combined with multiple other functions to remove every other column from a specified list. Two versions of the formula for removing, placing odd and even columns are provided below. Formula for odd columns such as 1, 3, 5, etc. is shown. That's why we're using this sequence. We're rounding up or rounding down. We're going to use this -2. That's how we generate this 1, 3, and 5. I'm not going to go into it as I stated, but you can delve into the beginning, intermediate, or advanced formulas tutorials, and I dig into that more than you can imagine. How this equation works, you can see this, well, it looks like an intimidating formula. It's not that bad. We're already familiar with choose columns. Well, we know we have to pick our columns. This particular formula is going to give us sequence round columns divided by 2. That is what? That's our first column. Then we have our start and our step. That's all within the sequence. That's why it works so nicely. How this equation works, this choose column function returns every other column based on the sequence function, looking for sequentially odd or even integers, numbers, integers. The first stage is to determine the number of columns to return. Here we use one of the following formulas. Round up columns, B5 to F20 divided by 2, 0, or round down columns. Notice columns, not column. Critical. You put in column and your model is going to blow up on you. B5 to F20 divided by 2. Columns is used to determine the total number of columns in the list. Depending on whether you're extracting odd or even columns, you round the quotient upwards or downwards with the round up or round down. Depending on if the list contains an odd number of columns that result in a remainder when dividing by 2, rounding must occur. Our list has 5 columns, therefore round up, 5 divided by 2, 0 returns 3 for odd columns, and round down, 5 divided by 2 returns 2 for even columns. The return number is passed to the sequence functions. First parameter, for even columns, we obtain sequence 3, 1, 1, 1, 2. The sequence formula generates a 3-row, 1-column list of numbers commencing at 1 and incrementing by 2, which is 1, 3, 5. For column pairs, we have sequence 2, 1, 2, 2. In this instance, sequence generates a list of numbers consisting of 2 rows in 1 column, beginning at 2, incrementing by 2, resulting in the value 2, 4. Now, clearly, the next tutorial will probably be the evens, and I don't need to read this twice. You're going to get it. Here is the formula in action. Be sure to check out all of our Excel courses. Excel Essentials. This is for individuals new to Excel. We have an advanced, excellent beginners, level 1 and level 2, and intermediate level course. Excel formulas, formulas only. We have a beginner, an advanced, and an intermediate level course. Click on any of the links. There's a short video that explains everything about the course. Check it out. And you ask, why is it not working? Because this is Moody. It's Microsoft 365 Online. As I said, just go over here, highlight the thing, hit enter, and it does its magic. I don't have the answer. It is what it is. It's Microsoft. Need I say more? Here is the anatomy. What's critical here is understanding the roundup. What I want you to do is take this down piece by piece, grab each one of these if you're confused as to how this thing is rolling out. Take the sequence, put it into another cell, put an equal sign, and look how it works. Take a round, put an equal sign in front of it. Put columns, put an equal sign in front of it, and break it down piece by piece. If you're not familiar with how I instruct, I'm going to strongly recommend that you follow that practice. For those of you familiar with my style, you know I'm going to recommend you always try to break this down. If the combination of choose, call, sequence, and columns in Roundup have you a little puzzle, work at it. This is fun stuff. This is fun. This is not like some of the other stuff that I presented that my students were throwing stuff at me through the screen. And yes, it hit me in the eye a couple times. No, anyway. Brad Williams, Excel Prime, thanks for watching. Mousetrap I'm talking about to use these tools is Excel and Microsoft are going to force us to use their 365 version. Now there's a free online version, but it's limited, so eventually you're going to end up having to pay Microsoft.